That's great. Okay, Mark, strategic planning 101. Yeah, I know I should be doing that, but I'm not. And part of the reason is it's a question of leadership. So where we need to know individually and as organizations is where are we on this leadership journey? So in the last year, we've created this 4 quadrants of leadership model that I'm just going to walk us through, and then we're going to do an exercise in quadrant 3 that's going to have you all getting up. See, the second warning, everybody's going to be getting up, and I'm going to be standing in the middle of the room. The first axis on this particular quadrant is external and internal. And the second is confident and unsure. So the external and internal is where are you getting your cues for your leadership style? Are you getting it externally, or are you checking your intuition and your experience? And then how confident do you feel, or how unsure of yourself do you feel? Quadrant 1 leadership is the observe stage. This is the new leader typically. These are people that get the title and they're so excited. Yes, I'm a leader and I've seen great leaders and I know I just need to copy what they're doing and I'll do it here and this is gonna be awesome. The best part about observant quadrant is you learn who are the right people to follow, and you also learn how to follow them well. So you learn what activities, you become really skilled at analyzing people or looking at people's styles, habits, work habits. What do you ask questions like, what do you do before you did that? What do you do after? So it's a really good quadrant to be in. But if you've ever been on that sort of, in that quadrant, you start moving into the second quadrant when you're all excited, full of exuberance, and you turn around and you realize, no one's following me. If you're a leader and there's no one following you, you're just out for a walk. So your confidence starts going down and you start wondering, this isn't working the way I thought it was. Or they made it look so easy. It's not that easy. I must be broken and doing something wrong. So you move into quadrant 2 leadership, which is looking for that external, again, just trying to figure out what books are out there, what conferences, what podcasts. I want the formula. I want the 7 steps to creating a compelling vision. I want the time management tips for superheroes. I want all the stuff, and you get the formulaic stuff. And this quadrant is great because you learn to learn. You learn what resonates with you. You learn how to consume information. If you're an audio learner, if you're a written word learner, if you're an experienced learner, kinesthetic learner, you learn that stuff and you just consume as much as you can. And you read Getting Things Done and you hear like how it's going to change your life because you can write everything into lists and all your life is lists and David Allen becomes a superhero for you. But you move into quadrant 3 leadership when you start realizing getting things done doesn't work for me. That doesn't work. At least that was part of my journey. I realized, wow, I don't like this list. I am not a list. I am a human being, and I'm not a human being that does lists well. Well, I do them, but then I never look at them again. So this isn't working for me. But what did work for me about getting things done was the action step stage. Doing the list and then having that action step after was brilliant, and that's something I needed to have. That's where you start looking at your internal cues. You start thinking, what works for me and what doesn't? And you start giving yourself permission and start trusting yourself to be able to make judgment calls. All right, that's what Ken Blanchard says, and these are the parts that I can take from that. And that's what Stephen Covey says over here, and these are the parts that fit me. And as you start living out this analyze stage, you grow in confidence and you move into quadrant 4 leadership, which is a focused leader. You're the one that knows you have a lot of good external stuff to share. You know how to follow people, you know how to find mentors, you know what books and tapes and different things you want to have. You also know how to create a culture of learning in your organization because you're internally watching what works and what doesn't for your organization. Organizations fit in this journey too. You're all leaders here. None of us are victims of the places that we work in. And as we start growing, Stephen Covey talks about the circle of concern and the circle of influence. There's a circle of influence that we have impact in. And there's a circle of concern that we can't. Geopolitical tensions and all, often we can't do anything about. The Red Sox losing again, we can't do anything about that. They had a good year, a few years ago. They won a couple World Championships, but they're done. I'm a Boston fan. I'm real. No, I'm a Boston fan. Hey, when the ball bobbled on that, I told my dad to shut up as a middle schooler when the whatever his name, Bruckner, bobbled the ball. And I was like, Dad said, oh, there they go. They're going to lose now. And they couldn't lose because they were up by so much. I told my dad, shut up in front of guests. That's when I became a true Red Sox believer. They're not going to do it again. All right. So it's important that we know where we are on this journey. And what I want to do is go into the Quadrant 3 leadership. I love Quadrant 3 leaders. The things Quadrant 3 leaders are working on are, what are my hardwiring? How am I hardwired? Where am I goal setting? How do I set my own goals? And what is my story? What's the story part of who I am? Because that helps you figure your mission, your style of leadership, and your values. So we're going to look at an exercise that helps you with your hardwiring. How many